Congrats on the win, Pablo. You seem pretty pumped up at the end there. What was the emotion, I guess, coming out of this game, and what made it so special?
Yeah, I think we played really well last week in Vancouver. Didn't come away with anything. Again, we're now at home. There's a bit of pressure on us to perform well. We got a couple teenagers out there, and you look across the field and you have probably one of the most experienced, most quality groups in the league. And the way they handled themselves, it wasn't always pretty, but they rolled up their sleeves and just we talk after the game, and the guys said, "Listen, we're all on the same page, even when it wasn't going our way." Then the other part too was the guys that came in, Sergi, Pablo, and in particular Morgan, just changed the landscape of the game. I think, when we get everyone back and healthy, we're going to be a completely different side. In the meantime, it's really supporting the group, knowing that we have quite a few guys out, and so all the culmination of all that is what made me so emotional, because it's really easy to make excuses as to why you don't win games. And the one thing that I can tell you is that group in there won't ever make an excuse.
Thinking about the slogan for this club, winning together through development, I think about the guys like Gozo, Hazarkani, Moisa there in this game making an impact. Is this kind of just like the quintessential statement game for that mission statement?
I think so. I think we've been really intentional, in particular when Jason came on board, and really being intentional about how we do that, bringing the guys up midweek, having them train with the guys. And in Gozo's case last year, we had an injury. He'd been training with us, and that's how he got his pop. So being really intentional about the development. And then the other part too is, I think there's a lot of credit that goes to the guys that are around these guys, because it's really easy as an ex-experienced player. Sometimes it was really easy to make excuses as to why we weren't playing as well, and point the finger at the younger guys. But a lot of credit has to go to guys like Jay Glad and Hoffa and everyone else that surrounds these guys, because they're the ones that look after them. They're the ones that guide them when the bullets are flying, right? So just really pleased as to how we're really doing what we say, which is winning together through development.
Hey, Pablo, congrats on the win. Just kind of piggybacking on what you talked a little bit on it. With this team being so young, what's more important right now in games like this, correcting mistakes or keeping the confidence to them?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, and I think the way that you correct mistakes is really, really important. The tone of voice, the setting. I think everything is always audience dependent, and so I think with young guys, there's a lot of one-on-one videos. There's a lot of tones in which we speak. So one of the things I always tell the guys is, like, listen, especially the young guys, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. There's no doubt about that. This is the first time you're at on the stage. The most important thing for me as a coach is having good reactions, not worrying about the mistakes. We'll deal with the mistakes after the game. Just get on to the next play and have good reactions. And I think today the guys did a really good job of getting on to the next play, again, against a really experienced group. And so that's the other part is, like, you got Rusnak, you got the Roldan brothers, you got Yamar and Reagan in the back. I mean, this thing is just shredded with experience. And so for these guys to be able to handle themselves, because even though I say those things, even though they have big guys around them, it's still daunting to go up against a Seattle team who's been together for the last 6 or 7 years and been winning trophies, right? And so to be able to do that at home in front of our fans with the group that we had, it just makes me really proud.
And my last question is, like, if we look back, at this game in 3 months from now, what do you think this night will say about this group, and especially about Eden Hazarkani scoring his first goal today?
Yeah, I would say, one of the things that the guys said after the game is that we just have a ton of belief in the way we play, in the players around us, in the way we're set up, in the way we manage games. Game management has been a big topic. I think last year we waited till probably the middle of the season to really delve into that. We hit that early on in preseason. Managing games, it's not going to be pretty, but when we're in a low block, how do we make sure that we negate any opportunities? And so I would say, looking back, it'd be that the group is full of belief. We understand what our roles are, but more importantly, we believe that we're a great team, and we just got to go out and express ourselves.
Pablo, first half, Seattle had a lot of success going down your right side. The second half, there was about 20, 30 minutes where they really had you pinned in. What do you take from this game, and how do you improve on that, or is that kind of something you were expecting?
No, again, I think teams, and again, I think when you're going week to week, if there are a lot of tactical adjustments, it's going to be really difficult for our young players to grasp on, right? Where Seattle, an experienced group, the coach says, let's do this, and it's really easily interpreted. Because, again, it's not only the tactic, but it's also space and time and where your opponent is, right? And so experience lends itself to being able to do those things really, really quickly because you've seen it millions of times. Inexperienced players struggle with that. So the adjustment we made at halftime was making sure Aiden was always on the goal side of Nuhu, right? And that did a lot. That made it a little bit more predictable for Gozo to step wide. And then the other part too is when we're defending in the wide areas, Gozo is so athletic and energetic that at times he will sprint at the guy. But in defending, you want to sprint and then slow down so that you don't make the plays so easy for him. Like it's just a bull charging at a cape, right? And so chop your feet. You're the most athletic, the fastest guy on our team. It doesn't matter if he goes left or right. You just got to hit the body and win the ball. And I think he did a much better job in the second half. So I think those things are, it's impossible to make those adjustments as the game's going because it's really detailed as to what we want to do. It's not just saying like just drop behind and do that. You got to move your feet. You got to defend the right way. So, but I think that lended itself to being in a low block a lot in the first half, and a lot in the second half after our goal. But then when the subs came in, I think the game changed. And again, I think that's what Morgan's quality is top.
And then you're probably a little surprised, or are you surprised that the kids did so well, the younger players did so well again tonight? And then also any concerns that Rafa kind of had to, he was standing on his head quite a bit during the game.
Yeah, I don't know that he made a couple saves. I don't know that they were really, really dangerous with that in particular in the second half. I mean, he made that save. He made two big saves, right? One where the guys broke behind and he saved it with his arm, and the other one was in the dying minutes. But what was your question?
Just about him, the kids playing well.
Yeah.
Rafa carrying.
Yeah, no, again, I think, and that's why I think it's like, the young guys are going to do well if they believe they have the guys around them that have their backs. And again, that's where I go to Rafa making those big saves as an example of like, hey, listen, don't worry about it. And he says it quite a bit, guys, just play, just express yourself. We got you back here. And so him and Jay Glad and the guys in the back, Juanma had a fantastic game as well on that left side. And it was a collective effort, but I think that, again, I think it's a really good performance to build on. And what wins do is it validates the processes that we have. That's all wins do. It's great in the moment, but more importantly, when we go back to work on Monday and we do these said things, it'll be done with a different type of mindset versus when you're not getting the results, you're always down things.
First MLS goal for Aiden. What has stood out about him, and what did it mean to get to see him score tonight?
Yeah, I think he's had an unbelievable preseason with us, and hasn't hit the back of the net in the preseason, but some of his actions, some of his plays were really, really good. And I think the one thing, defensively, he's still understanding concepts, but attacking-wise, he's dialed in. And then to show up in that spot and really execute the way he did, I couldn't be happier for him. He's a fantastic individual. He's going to be a top player in this league. And I think today opening his account is really huge, not only for himself, but also the group. And
y'all haven't lost to the Sounders here since 2012. What is it about this matchup in this building, in this arena, this stadium?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, but I think both teams feel it. I think when history is extensive as far as the results go, we felt the pressure of making sure we won this game, and I'm sure Seattle felt, this is a tough place to come play, and both will drop seeds either of belief or of a little bit of doubt. So, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, the game can go either way. They had a lot of set pieces, and ball could bounce either way, but just love the way the guys hung in there and were gritty and in their resolve.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on the win.
Thank you, Matty.
On Phillips' pass, is that something that you've seen from him in training, or did that surprise you too?
No, I think one of the things that we talked about this year, I think last year we were very much into building in a really methodical, slow, east to west kind of way. One of the things we've definitely changed is being more vertical. In other words, to make our opponents not know exactly how we're going to go game to game. And when you have, Juanma on one flank and you have Gozo on the other, our outside center backs almost become playmakers from that position. And so I think the action was, I think Gozo checked and went, and those guys have been training together this week, so it's been good. But it was a well-executed ball from Philip, and it was a fantastic run from Goz. And the best thing about that play was the decision Gozo made, right? That to me says a lot about his growth as a younger player. But before, I think he tried to leather that when he had his teammate. And so that, for me, is the best aspect of that play. But it was really well done from Philip as well.
And then on Seattle's goal, do you think that was a communication deficit? Did they find a hole in the defense, or what did you see from it?
Yeah, no, we talked with Rafa, and obviously, he came over and he was livid with it. I think the guys made a change on their own in that shape, and we basically vacated the one spot that is really dangerous with corners where they're going to try to hit the frame, and they put a lot of numbers in there. It's the corner of the 6. It's the hardest one to step out from, so we usually have a guy in that position, but on that particular play we didn't. So we'll go back and review that, but that was definitely the mix-up.
And then, thank you, last one for me. I noticed you talking to Yamar at halftime after that, I'll just say challenge. The match got pretty physical, especially around Gozo and Ari. Do you feel that the temperature of the game was handled the way that you'd want it to, or what do you tell the guys in that type of situation?
No, I love dogfights. I love them, man. I love it. What I want is just a fair. If they're going to be in the cage, then just let them in the cage. You know what I mean? It just what isn't for any coach is that's not a foul, but that is. And I think that's any coach will tell you that's the frustrating part. So if you're going to put them in the UFC cage, put them in there. I'm all good with it. I'm all good with it. We got dogs in there. I'm good with that. But if you're not, and you're going to start calling fouls, then it's got to be fair for both teams.
Krishan, next. Do you have any questions?
I was just curious, what do you think the impact is for young fans, Utah youth players, to see someone like Zach Booth make his first home start tonight?
Yeah. I think the great thing is Zach grew up here in Utah and left, and then he came back, and I think he's a wonderful player, and he put in a great shift tonight. Plays for the team. I think he plays for the club. He plays for the state. He represents a lot of Utahns that come to the game, and I think it was obviously a really proud moment for him. But I think that when younger kids come to the stadium and they see these guys like all of them, Aiden and Gozo and Luka Moisa and Zach Booth, they're probably like 3 or 4 years older than they are, right? So I think that's where magic begins as a young kid, is when you begin to dream, and then you see your dream in the stadium become reality. And so I think these guys are really moving the needle as to how we can continue to get some great soccer here in Utah, which I think already exists, but the belief that one day I can represent RSL.
Thank you. David?
You're talking about how well the young guys played tonight. I mean, what are the strengths of having young guys on a team like this?
I think the biggest thing with young guys is they're not jaded. They're not jaded from experiences. They don't know that they can get hurt. In other words, they don't know that, so they play free. And you saw a lot of that in the first half with Aiden and Gozo flicking balls and Luka finding passes. They're not thinking as much game management as they are just enjoying themselves. And that's one aspect of it. The other part is their physical capacity is through the roof. They're willing to run and run and run. And some of it might not be a great example of running, but when you make mistakes and you're willing to run, it helps. And so I think, with youth, surrounded by really good experienced players is like the perfect combinations, because you can get guys that are like those that are just going to run. You got Aiden, who's not scared to have someone on his back, and he's willing to turn and meg the guy and keep going. And so youth is beautiful. You know, at times it's, for us older guys, it seems like it's a bit ignorant, but that's the beauty of youth, because we're all us older guys, we're all jaded.
Congrats on the win, Pablo. Left side seemed to have a lot of control of the ball. Juanma was a big piece of that. How do you feel like he played tonight?
Yeah, I thought he was exceptional. You know, I think the goal that he set up for Aiden it's different gravy, man. So when we talk about like half space delivery, or you know, from that angle, we're usually talking about hitting it maybe to the back post, but he saw a secondary run that he just picks out, and he does this all the time. And so when he's in that position, he can take you to the line, he can combine and go forward, he can cut inside and dribble. Like, I think having his experience, his physical capacity is also through the roof, but just I think on both sides of the ball, he's really well balanced, understands the moments, but is always looking forward. And I think when we get Juan on one side and you get Gozo on the other, and you get some of our other guys up front, now I think we become a really, really dynamic attacking team. So I think he played great tonight.
Awesome. And then Ari, was that an ankle?
Unfortunately, it's an Achilles injury. The extent we don't know yet, but having spoken to him, he doesn't feel good about it, which is unfortunate, because the young man has been waiting for this opportunity. Scored his goal tonight, and man, the universe is crazy, man. So sending him all kinds of positive energy. I was talking to him on the bench as the game was winding down, and he was just, he was in tears. So hopefully the news is better than we expect.
Pablo, congrats on the win. How would you rate the defensive effort in the last 15 minutes as you guys are trying to stop Seattle from not trying to tie the game?
Yeah, again, I'd say 10 out of 10, only because we didn't concede. There's a million ways to do it. We break down video quite a bit, and it really comes down to moments, right? So you're in a shape, and they got the shape, but then in that shape, you have to make plays. The pivots did a good job stealing a couple balls. Jay Glad, Sam, and Phil did a good job of dealing with balls in behind. Dom and Juanma did a good job of trying to seal the wide areas, and so it's a really collective effort. And what I like about that is, I'm not a guy that enjoys being in a low block. I get too much anxiety. However, you have to be calm in those moments. And what I really like about our team moving forward is that when we win the ball in the low block, we've got jets and we've got quality ahead of the ball to really hurt teams. And I think that's a new feature to our group that we didn't have last year, and one that we'll continue to work on.
And then next game, obviously, against Atlanta. Do you feel like this win changes your next approach going into next game, or game after game?
No, I think it's game after game. And like I said, I think we performed really well against Vancouver. And even talking to, Brian Smetzer after the game, he said, you guys, I think, got robbed of a point, because I think you guys deserved it. And so I think it's really about building up performances. And like I said, results like tonight really validate the process. The guys understand what they're meant to be doing. But more important, it's about the belief in the group and the camaraderie in the group, and continuing to work hard to feel what we currently feel right now.
And then last question, obviously a lot of injuries. Luna, Olatunji, status on them, or where are we looking?
Yeah, they're both different. Victor had an eye injury. And again, those are things that nobody really knows. He's going to another doctor's visit on Wednesday, but he hasn't run since it happened, right? Because they want to keep his eye stable. It's kind of a crazy one. And then Diego just started working on the field this week, the moment that we can get him a couple minutes, we'll be able to do that, and we'll kind of push him a little bit. He's got a big year ahead of him, and he was fantastic in our last preseason game. So that's where those two are.
Giles?
Just one question from me, Pablo. With Juanma getting a goal contribution in his start and Aiden getting a goal going in, how confident are you with your new players and your new arrivals to make up the difference for these injuries that have been plaguing y'all early?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I think tonight, again, and I look back at that game and the amount, there's a couple in the first half where we were really, really good opportunities on goal. And then in the second half, there was also probably two or three, Morgan's chance, and, Serge had a really good chance. And those are on another day, I think those are in the back of the net. So I just feel really good about the whole group, who steps in and plays. I think with the young guys displaying their goods tonight, I think we're going to be all right. And we just got to keep pushing and making sure that we hold our standard. But I think again against this team tonight, I wouldn't have picked Aiden scoring a goal on the bingo card. That's just not. It's just a really tough ask, right? But it hit, and so now he's playing with a different set of beliefs, as is probably Serge, because he got the opportunity, in Morgan. And so the more we can get all these guys up to speed and playing together, I think the likelihood is we're going to score some goals.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Pablo.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Rafa, congratulations on the win. What's your appreciation in this game? It was kind of complicated in the whole game, but finally we got a result.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think we played against one of the best teams in our conference. They have great players. They have their coach for a long time, so they know each other. And of course, the beginning of the season, we have our difficulties, so many injuries, visa problems. So we knew it would not be easy, but I mean, we are proud of this team, and we have young players. They are doing so well, and of course, starts the season on our home. Winning the game is so important, and we have to keep building this way and win as much as we can.
How important was to block to Paul Rock for the left side with Gozo and Quinton, the 10 corner kicks? I think 80% was in that side,
yeah,
with Quinton blocking all the time to Paul Rock. Do you think that was important to not have Seattle the opportunities to score?
Yeah, sure. We have a new game model as well, and of course, as soon as we play more, we will get used to. We've been working a lot, and I think Phil did a great job. He played, I guess, a good player, and Gozo has been playing well for a long time, so it's not a news for us. And of course, they did well, and we could score goals, and I think was a great game. It's very important for us.
The last one, there was a moment when you went to talk to Pablo, very emotional.
Yeah.
What it was?
I mean, it's normal. We were talking about the set piece there. We conceded the goal, and of course we want to win games, but he's the boss, and of course we always talk about and we want to win. So that's the point.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey, Rafa, congrats on the win tonight. 2.7, that was the expected goals against you tonight. Only gave up 1. That's a pretty good stat rate. Do you feel like you're playing at the top of your game right now?
I mean, that's my job. As a goalkeeper, I always work hard to don't concede goals. And as you said, I was upset we had conceded the goal because the game could finish the game easier. And at the end of the day, we had to defend to the end because we conceded that goal. We know set piece is so important, and we got to improve that. And I mean, I wanna make clean sheets, and I work hard for that. All of us, we work hard for that. And every time we concede a goal, we get mad. But I mean, thank God we won the game.
And then do you have to make considerations for a guy like Jackson Reagan? He just seems to be so big.
Yeah, sure. They have their quality as well. No, we have an opponent. Sometimes every time we concede a goal, we think, no, it's my mistake, it's your mistake, and sometimes the other team did well. So we have to accept that. But of course, everything we can control, we gotta work to be better and don't concede goals. That's our point, because if we don't concede goals, we give more freedom to forward players, and they play free as well, and they know, like, okay, my team will not concede goals, so if I make mistake, if I miss a goal, I'm safe. So that's our job.
Congrats on the win, Rafa. Just talk us about with Engel and Juanma, the two players that in the back line. How is the communication with them?
No, it's nice. I mean, they are nice guys. They came here very, very excited, very happy, new signings, and they are great players. And I do believe they're gonna play better every single game, and we are happy. And I really think when we have all the players available, we are gonna be a very strong team.
And then when Seattle scored that goal, made it 2-1, how did the communication on the field change, if it did at all?
I mean, it's normal. We push each other there, no? We consider goal that we couldn't, and we had some opportunities to kill the game as well. That's something we have to improve, and of course the communication was just to keep alive, switch on, and be ready, because we knew the game would be hard till the end.
And last question, how important is it to get 3 points, especially at your home, especially for a home debut?
Yeah, we want to be better this season than last season, and for me the key is have a better record at home. We gotta make this stadium be hard to play against. We gotta make the other teams respect us, and every time they have to play against us, they have to come here and play uncomfortable and feel it's hard to play against them there. And we know as well, every win we have at home, the next game is going to be more people watching us, more fans are going to come in here. And at the end of the day, we play for them, and we want to represent the fans and make them happy, and they feel proud of the team and comfortable to buy tickets, buy jerseys, and come here to cheers.
Hey, Rafa, congrats on the win again. With so many guys, who play in the Monarchs together, did that familiarity help the tempo and the trust on the field tonight to get that win?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the young players, they bring energy, Like, they bring energy, they are excited, and our job, like older player, is just give them freedom and tell them they are free to make mistakes, and they have to feel comfortable playing. And I mean, everybody played their first game or first season, so it's just maybe in 5-6 months they are going to help other players coming from Monarchs and with their experience. So they are doing so well, and we are happy for Luca, Aiden, and I mean Gozu is not a new.
With that being said, you has, like you said, being one of the more older guys, if we can say, how do you help them continue to improve, but not give them like a hard criticism at the same time?
I mean, I think all of us, we are used to criticize, because since I remember, like, I'm from Brazil, so there 15, 16 years old, you see people criticizing you. So, but here we know in America is a little bit different, but I think they are ready. They are ready to play, and they showed these first 2 games. They are ready. They read the game well. They are smart players. They listen as well, and that's our job is just make them feel comfortable, as I said, and knew that the responsibility is always ours to. If something doesn't work well, it's our responsibility. They have just to play their football and enjoy. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations on the win. 2 good performances in a row, but one was a 1-0 loss, and today was a 2-1 win. What is the margin that you see in this league that separates a win from a loss?
I mean, that's something as a team I think we have to improve, is win games. If you play well, or sometimes you cannot play well, and you gotta try to win and try to find the way you gotta win. I think last season we had so many games that we played so well and we lost. So that's we wanna play well always, We wanna always make the fans happy because we enjoy playing there in this way, but sometimes we got to defend and play badly, but win games. So as you said, all the teams, they are so close, and small details makes difference, and today the details helped us.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anyone else for Rafa? Go ahead.
Hey, Rafa.
Sorry.
Going into the season, there's a different formation, obviously. From your perspective as a goalkeeper, how do you feel defensively this year compared to last season?
I think we are more solid. We are more solid this season. I do believe we are going to concede less goals, and of course it's hard to analyze because we had so many problems now, so many injury players, visa problems. So we didn't have our team, and we are competing. Like, we played, I guess, for me, the best 2 teams in our conference with LA, and we won one and we lost another one that we could be better, but I think defensively we are going to be more solid.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? David, you good? Okay.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How's your back?
Yeah, it's okay. I couldn't breathe.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you. Congrats on the goal, Aiden. What did you see on that play, and how did it feel?
I was saying this before. I think it was just like being there at the right time. So, you know, like Juan played a great ball in, and I just got lucky that it went to me. And at that moment, it was just like keeping my composure and getting it on frame. And I got lucky winning. So, yeah.
You played with guys with Luca and Gozo for a while now.
Yeah.
Is it kind of crazy now that you guys are still playing together, but at this level against the Seattle Sounders?
Yeah, it is kind of crazy, but I feel like it's something that like we've all manifested. So like it's no surprise that we're here now. So it's just good to see that all the boys are up at the highest level. So yeah.
Hey, Aiden, congrats on the goal. Congrats on the win again. I just want to ask you, if you were to look back at this moment 3 months from now, what would you say to yourself?
If I were to look back at this moment, I'd probably just say to myself to just like keep building off this moment, and it's just like the first of many. So just use this momentum to take it on to the next game and keep getting 3 points, because that's ultimately what matters.
Yesterday we talked a little bit. You kind of mentioned that preseason was a pretty good start for you, so you were ready to take on these challenges. Personally, have you set any goals for the first team yourself? Like any goals on like scoring goals or assisting, or any number in mind that you have for that?
Yeah, regarding goals and assists, I'd like to get probably 10 over GA this year, so goals and assists combined. And I think the main thing is just like as far as like the team aspect, you know, getting as high as we can. You know, the goals will come as long as we perform. Thank you.
Aiden, you've had 2 impactful games so far in the season. How has the game slowed down for you? How has it changed as you've played these 2 games?
I think the main difference is like just the reassurance that like I know I can play at this level, and that like kind of helps me to use my skills, you know, play at my benefits. So I think it's just like just having the confidence and knowing that I can play at this level.
You played 2 games. How has the experience been for you? Is it playing with some famous players and some great MLS players? Anything surprise you?
I think it's just really good to see like playing against players that like I've always looked up to, like Thomas Mueller, you know, stuff like that. And I think it's the main thing is just like experiencing away games and then come back home and having our fans behind us. It really gives us an advantage. So yeah.
Congrats on the goal, Aiden.
Thank you.
Can you tell us what the staff worked with you on in the film room this week after a really strong performance against Vancouver, and then that you brought into tonight's match?
I think the main thing was like off the ball and kind of shaping our press so it works. And obviously we had a few bad spells and it didn't go for us, but I think it helped us prepare to defensively win this match as well.
When we spoke last year before your debut minutes with the team, one of the things we talked about was how difficult it can be for an offensive player to break into the lineup. Now this year, after an amazing preseason, you've got 2 starts in 2 matches. How do you hope to bring that momentum forward moving into the rest of the season?
I think it's just like always looking forward. You know, it's good to look back at these performances, but like kind of just take this and bring this momentum onto the next match and just take it one step at a time, you know.
You touched on it a little bit, Aiden, but back-to-back starts for you with your, I think, former academy teammate in Luka Moisa. He gets sort of the hockey assist. I don't know if you've been able to see that pass that he had to Sanabria on that, but how would you kind of rate his play back-to-back matches and kind of setting up that whole moment?
Yeah, it was a great ball, and I think that's like something that I just expect from Luka after playing with him for quite a bit now. So it's no surprise to me that like he's had these great performances and he's kind of like shining under the light. So yeah, top player.
Does the experience that you guys have coming up through the academy and into the Monarchs kind of help you sort of feel a little bit more comfortable playing at this level with guys who are going through the same things, I guess?
Yeah, I think the experience with the Monarchs and like MLS Next Pro in general, like it's good because you play against sometimes first team players that come down with other teams, and then you also get that training experience with our first team players. So it helps you kind of take that step into the first team and not feel like out of place, if you know what I mean.
Aiden, congrats on the goal. When you're on the field, for sure you want to give your best, right? If you're front of the ball with the goalie, you want to score. But you can describe what happened in the moment when you see the ball coming to you. It's instantly you have to take a decision. What happened? Can you tell to us?
Yeah, I think as the ball came into the box and I saw that like it was coming to me directly, my main sense or reaction was to just get over it and not like sky the ball over the net. And I think it was a smart decision and went in, so a goal is a goal.
So when you were celebrating, there was your companions coming to you. Did you hear something special, or they told you something?
About the celebration? Or?
In the moment when you went there. So somebody told you something special, or?
No, I think it was just me and Gozo just laughing and running to the corner flag. To be honest, I don't really know what to do for celebration, so it was just more excitement, you know.
Thank you.
Aiden, congrats on the win. You and Ari obviously scored both tonight. Does the young core feel a sense of competition or just purely collaboration?
I think it's more like, you know, us working together, so I would say collaboration and like how we're always so hungry and always competing to win these games no matter who we're up against. You know, last week we played against a World Cup winner. This week we play against a strong side that won a trophy last year. So I think it's like kind of like that fearless aspect and just being confident in ourselves.
And then how do you stay grounded after a performance that will surely have the fans buzzing probably this whole week?
Yeah, I think it's like what I said before. You know, I can always be happy about the performance I just made, but it's not going to mean anything in the game tomorrow or the next game we play, you know.
Aiden, after your goal score, do you think that they announced Gozo as the goal scorer because you guys have similar hair?
I don't know. That's a good shout. Maybe. I think it's the fact that we both celebrated like we scored. So
he was just as happy as if he would have done it, right?
Yeah.
And then being able to post the flag in front of the fans, how cool was that?
Yeah, that meant a lot. You know, coming from the academy, I always used to watch and wait till the very end while the players are leaving, and you know, to really like soak that moment in, it meant a lot for me. So yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
In that moment where you get that ball in the back of the net for your first time, what was that first thought that entered through your mind?
Honestly, like it was more just like excitement. Like I had zero thoughts in my mind. I was just running, so yeah.
Then if you could go back in time and talk to yourself when you first started lacing up your boots, when you first started picking up the sport, what would you say to your younger self then, and what would you say to like young kids now who maybe look at you and see, maybe I can do this. Maybe this is something that can happen in America now.
Yeah, I think the main message is to just like be yourself and play fearless, because if you're, you know, trying to do this, trying to do that, like you're not really like playing your identity and your DNA, and like you got to play to your strengths. And if you're nervous or you kind of want to impress someone else, it won't happen. So I think it's just like playing calm and fearless.
Thank you.
Yeah.
David?
Congrats on the first goal. I'm sure you've dreamt of that moment probably your whole life. How did the real thing compare?
Yeah, it's a lot better than the dream, to be honest. But yeah, that's about it. I was just really happy and excited to keep moving forward.
Congrats on the goal. How do you refocus and move forward after a goal like that?
I think the main thing is like just focus on the trainings ahead and like ground myself and just keep working hard, you know.
Anything else? Aiden, you're the best. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats again.
Thank you.